Hey, what's up, everybody? Chris back with CAC Knives here with another knife unboxing and review. I'm actually borrowing this knife from somebody else, so it's actually not mine, but I did want to check it out. It's a pretty cool one by Wixco. I've never checked out a Wixco before. They are the budget line to Ferro Monster, but they got some pretty cool models coming out this year that I think I'm going to add to my collection, one of which contain this luminous carbon fiber. I'm kind of torn between getting that version and the other version that has multiple carbon fiber colors in the same handle. But I did want to see for myself what this luminous red looked like in person. So we are going to check it out today. This is the Wortex in 14C28N black two-tone. It doesn't say that on here, but stonewash carbon fiber red luminous, which is pretty cool. I've never seen this exact kind of carbon fiber in person. I don't know if it's specific to them. I think I've seen other companies start to do it. But right off the bat here, we got the Do Not Eat. Very nice pouch. Yeah, very nice pouch. And he said this is exactly how it comes, so take his word for it. Oh yeah, here's the knife. Got logo there, got a cloth in there, of course. And that is how it comes. So let's get this out of the packaging. Let's check out this red luminous carbon fiber. So try to move it around in different lights, so hopefully it shows up real well in the camera. Yeah, very cool. It's very unique. In certain lights, that red really comes out, which is pretty cool. I can't say I've seen red quite like this. Kind of reminds me of, oh yeah, kind of reminds me of Darth Vader, like a Darth Vader knife. But this is a hawk bill blade, I believe is the name of it. We don't see very many of those. And two-tone, of course, I'm very fond of two-tone blades because we don't see very many of those either. Now, it's kind of long, but it's got a very slim profile. Bring out the ruler here, and then we'll do some size comparisons here. So cutting edge, you got about 3 inches of cutting edge here, with maybe a little bit longer blade overall. So it will not meet the knife legal standards, I doubt, to certain states and certain countries of the 3 inches. You have a 7-inch knife overall, pretty much coming right at 7 inches there. So about the size you'd expect for common EDC. Speaking of which, let's bring out some common EDCs, and one that's kind of got a very similar aesthetic to this, but they are not the same, and I will say why that is in this video. The QSP Penguin, along with the Civivi Elementum. And these two are very standard in the knife community as kind of the, I don't know which one to say, the size for EDC, quote unquote. It's a good way to say that, I think. And as you can see, this knife is pretty much the exact same size as those, with a little bit slimmer profile, but definitely lighter than the Penguin. About the same weight, I would say, as the Elementum. Maybe a little bit lighter, but it's also a little bit smaller, right? Let's go ahead and bring out 2 other ones here that are pretty common also in the knife community. One that I think everybody should own, or at least some kind of version of it, the Dimco 8020.5. I think everybody should own some form of a Dimco knife. I know they have a lot of different ones now, but Shark Lock's just so fun. And then we have the Kaiser Drop Bear 2 here in that nice holiday vibe theme going on there with the crystal tie. So you can see this knife is pretty much right where it should be in terms of EDC size. Now, I've not reviewed a Wixco before, and actually this is the first Wixco I've ever held in my hand, which is pretty rare that happens. That a new company is being held by me. I've held, I want to say, about 2,000 knives at this point in my life. So yeah, I've held quite a bit. So the fact that it's new is pretty crazy that a company's trying to make themselves known now in the knife world. But yeah, I think they're doing a pretty good job. This knife, ooh, very smooth, I would say. Yeah, I would say it's online with Civivi and Kaiser. Yeah, I would say so. Fit and finish is looking good to me. I'm not feeling any hot spots. A little bit of jimping there to help. Got a nice swedge there to choke up on. Hawksbill blades aren't for really hard use, but they're really good at slicing open packages and things like that. Got a nice back spacer here. I'm assuming that's aluminum. It's probably steel clip. Got good retraction there. Now, they don't need to really mill out the inside, but they did anyway on that steel liner. Wow, good for them. Coming in straight off the rip with good things. And do we have T8s here? I am gonna have to see. See, this side's T8. We do. T8 screws, look at that. How nice. Is that T6 pivot, I'm guessing? No, we can't have all the goodies, can we? But that's pretty close. You can take this thumb stud out if you so wish. I don't see a reason to do that, but not everybody likes thumb studs. I think the studs give you a little bit better grip, and I don't think you'd be able to thumb flick it out without the stud there. But let's talk about what makes this cost more than this, because this Penguin is about, I don't know, $40 to $50 knife, where the Wortex cost about $85. First off, the Penguin is carbon fiber laminate over G10. This is not, I mean, it is carbon fiber, but it's just a very thin layer over G10. You can see the inside there. That's not actual full carbon fiber. It's just kind of like a layer. It's like your copier prints something on top of a piece of paper. You know, it's still there, but it's still a piece of paper, right? And this is still G10, just with a very, very thin layer of carbon fiber over top of it. Still looks nice. I'm not going to degrade the fact that it looks nice, but this is actual carbon fiber. And, you know, I will say this looks better in terms of carbon fiber, but it's also more expensive. So you have to keep that in mind. And you can tell on the back there that the carbon fiber goes all the way through. Now they do have steel liners in there because you don't want carbon fiber to be your locking system. So they have steel liners in there with a nice bolster cutout. And that makes this knife's locking mechanism the liner lock that you see operating there, similar to how the QSP does it, right? Now this is a much older Penguin, definitely not any of the newer ones. And the newer ones, I believe, have milled out insides and everything. But this was back when the Penguin was first kind of getting going. So this is an early rendition of it. It's kind of cool that I have this one. I feel like I have a part of history in a way here. But yeah, another thing is this blade is 14C28N, where this blade is D2. And of course 14C28N overall, I'd say is a little bit of an upgrade. Two-tone blades are more expensive to produce, so that's something to keep in mind. Also, I would say overall this knife is just better than this one is in multiple ways. Excuse me there, I have a cold still, can't seem to get rid of it. Of course, we are waking up every day in Ohio right now to negative temperature outside, which for Southeast Ohio, waking up to negatives is not very common. You know, we're usually in the teens at least in the morning in this time of the year, so we're 20 degrees below our normal. And we still have the 10 inches of snow outside that all of the United States, on the middle and eastern part anyway, seem to have endured, except you lucky Yanks down in Florida. But anyway, yeah, I'd say this knife overall is pretty good. Now, $85. Is it worth $85? Well, in my opinion, it is just a little bit overpriced. Not a lot, but a little bit. If they want to be a part of the competition, if they want to make a name for themselves, they're gonna have to watch the price tag. And there are a few reasons that I say this. Okay, let me go grab real quick a competitor that, granted, this knife is top tier in terms of value, and it's one of the most valuable, one of the most bang for your buck knives that exists. But we have to talk about it. The Civivi Mini Praxis. The comparison to these knives, price-wise, is exactly the same. Both these knives cost $85. The differences here, however, are crazy. For starters, the Civivi Mini Praxis has an S35VN blade. S35VN is lower end super steel, but it's still a very good steel overall, especially compared to 14C28N. You still have carbon fiber handles, except now you have fat carbon handles. Now the Luminous Carbon Fiber, I will admit, looks cool, and in terms of manufacturing and production, I'm not quite sure where it stacks up with fat carbon. But judging by how the knife world works, I would say fat carbon's still a little bit more expensive to produce. Not to mention, the Mini Praxis has a titanium clip, where the Wortex does not. And titanium clips are definitely better, nicer, and will last a lot longer and are less prone to snapping than stainless clips. Now, in the Wortex's defense, these knives are very rare. Civivi probably did not make as much money off of these as they do all their other models. But if you're wanting to come into a very competitive new knife market with this, and let's even bring back out the Kaiser Drop Bear 2, which is a direct competitor to Civivi, in my opinion. They produce a lot of similar knives. They produce a lot of similar blade steels and things like that. They came out with another crazy good value model here with this Drop Bear. Because with the Drop Bear, we have full crystallized titanium and also has a 14C28N blade steel, which is the same as the Wortex. But this is crystal tie with different colored hardware all over. And, you know, crystal tie is definitely more expensive, I would say, than red luminous carbon fiber, right? This knife was only $5 more than this. So, my point with saying these things are, is this Wortex a very good knife and a very cool knife? Yes, it is. Pretty awesome, actually. I'm looking to add a Wixco knife to my collection this year. Like I said, I'm going to wait on some other models to release later in the year. But, you know, their original listed price is $100, not $85, and $100 is definitely overpriced, in my opinion, for this, compared to their competitors, right? If you're going to be in this market, you got to compete correctly. And Wixco, if you're listening, you're going to have to bring that price down just a little bit. I think this knife easily could be $75. And I know you're thinking just, well, that's just $10, but that makes a difference. Like, now you're giving me a reason to be like, oh, okay, so for $10 less, I'm getting a little worse blade steel and not a titanium clip. Well, at least there's something there. At least I saved a little bit of money, as opposed to me could have gotten this, which is an upgrade in every way. Granted, I did bring out two of some of the most best bang for your buck value knives that exist, but I have to bring them out to compare them to every knife that I put on this table that's under $100, or even knives that are a little bit above it, because it shows that knife companies can do this thing. Now, I know inflation's going up and things like that, the tariff crap's going on, so that can definitely affect it, and that I do understand. But it's something to think about in the future. In terms of this knife goes, except for it being a little overpriced, I would say this knife is perfect. 10 out of 10. It's very fidgety, it's very fun, very easy to carry. I mean, I would assume the clip seems good. That's very, very nice action. A little bit of KPL on the pivot ball would go a long way, I think, so it would quit re-locking itself back in place. It's nice that the hawkbill doesn't hit anywhere on that back spacer. It's always a worry with knives that are shaped odd like this, but it looks like they did a good job making sure it does not hit the back spacer. And they also did a good job making sure your finger does not hit the blade. I do like the design though. I like how the hawkbill goes into the handle. You see that, how the knife blade and the handle kind of go together, and it kind of makes a very nice design feature to where it's just smooth all around. There's no hot spots. They designed a very good knife here. Very, very good knife. Definitely 10 out of 10 on knife design, on fidgetivity, on everything, except just maybe a little bit overpriced. That's my thoughts and opinions though, guys. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, please. I highly appreciate it. We passed 1,100 subs there last week, and I'm very appreciative of that. Let's keep growing so I can keep showing you guys some cool stuff. But with that out of the way, I will see you in the next video.